Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Ever wonder how software companies catch all those annoying bugs before we ever get our hands on the software?
Right. There's a whole process for that.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into something called alpha testing. It's like that crucial first step they take.
An internal sneak peek, essentially.
Yeah, an internal look, vital before anything goes public.
Yeah.
So our mission today, based on understanding alpha software testing, is pretty simple. Figure out what alpha testing really is, who does it, and, why it matters so much.
That's good.
Okay, let's get into it.
Absolutely. So at its heart, alpha testing is really a type of acceptance testing.
Acceptance testing.
Yeah, it's all about finding problems, finding those bugs before the software gets to, say, beta testers, or definitely before the general public sees it.
So it's like the first major quality hurdle after the initial build?
Exactly. It's where the development work gets its first serious reality check.
Okay, so timing-wise, when does this happen?
It's usually near the end of the development phase, that critical point just before you'd even think about starting beta testing with outside users.
Right before it leaves the building, basically.
Pretty much. It's the last big internal quality gate.
And who are the folks actually doing this early detective work? Is it just the developers?
Primarily, yeah, it's the in-house team. So the software engineers who actually built the thing, and also the quality assurance staff, the QA team.
Okay.
And interestingly, it often happens in, two distinct phases.
2 phases, huh? Tell me more about that.
Well, the first phase usually involves the developers themselves. They'll often use specific tools like debuggers.
Software tools.
Yeah, software or sometimes even hardware debuggers that let them step through the code and find the big issues fast.
Like what kind of issues?
Oh, major crashes or big features that are just completely missing or broken. It's about speed, catching the really obvious stuff early on.
Makes sense. Catching those early probably saves a ton of hassle later.
Oh, definitely. It saves significant time and resources down the line. So what about phase 2?
Right, phase 2.
Phase 2 is typically when the QA team steps in. They conduct more formal testing, usually in a dedicated test environment.
Separate from the main development system.
Yeah, exactly. And they often use a mix of black box testing.
Where they use it like a normal user would.
Right, without looking at the code. And also white box testing, where they do look under the hood at the actual code to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to internally.
Okay, so attacking it from both the user's view and the technical view.
Precisely. It helps catch different kinds of problems.
So let's use that analogy you mentioned, like an online app that's not quite ready, but they're testing it internally first. What does that actually look like day to day?
Well, it's usually happening in a controlled environment like a test lab, often on separate machines. The project manager and the developers work together. They'll define clear goals for what this alpha phase needs to achieve, and then figure out how to integrate the feedback and the bug reports that come out of it.
And I guess they're not testing everything at this stage.
Right. Because it's still relatively early, they might not focus heavily on things like, say, in-depth reliability testing over weeks, or super detailed installation testing, or maybe even thorough documentation checks.
The focus is more on the core. Does the main stuff work?
Exactly. Get the engine running smoothly before you worry too much about the custom paint job.
But there must be some things that are absolutely critical even at this stage.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
A well-defined test plan is vital. You need a roadmap. And that plan needs to include comprehensive test cases, specific things to check.
Okay.
Then it becomes this cycle. The QA team executes the tests, finds bugs, logs them carefully.
Then developers fix them.
Right. Developers fix the defects, and then it goes back to QA to retest.
Yeah.
They check the fix worked, and also, crucially, that the fix didn't break something else.
Ah, the dreaded regression bug.
Exactly. So this cycle might repeat several times, and even if the whole application isn't feature complete, whatever is available has to be tested thoroughly, especially the features the end customer will actually use.
And you mentioned earlier, it's not just about finding technical glitches, is it?
No, not at all. That's a really important point. The QA team during alpha testing also gives crucial early feedback on usability.
Like how easy it is to actually use.
Yeah, the look and feel, the navigation. Is it intuitive? Does it make sense to a user? Getting that feedback early is incredibly valuable.
Before you get too far down the wrong path design-wise.
Precisely. The source we looked at even recommended maybe emailing the customer, perhaps key stakeholders, with details about the testing, keeping them in the loop.
Interesting. Okay, so if a team wants to run an efficient alpha test, what are the key steps boiled down?
Well, first, you've got to review the software requirements, the specs. Then develop that detailed test plan and those test cases. Then you execute the tests, log any defects you find,
Wickham.
fix them, and then retest rigorously. It's that systematic approach.
Okay, this definitely sounds like a significant effort, but worthwhile. What are the big advantages? Why go through all this?
The payoffs are pretty substantial, actually. You get much better early insight into the software's reliability and stability.
Finds the weak spots early.
Right. It also frees up the development team later. If you catch bugs now, they can focus more on building new features rather than firefighting basic issues just before release.
Which probably speeds things up overall.
It can absolutely help reduce the time to market. And, maybe most importantly, getting that early feedback just leads to a higher quality product in the end.
Better user experience, fewer problems for actual customers.
Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, the core idea is involving the customer's perspective, or at least an internal proxy for it, really early in the whole development process. Think about the potential cost saving of finding a major architectural flaw now versus after launch.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so wrapping this up, alpha testing is essentially that critical internal first pass. It's about finding bugs, yes, but also getting initial feedback on usability, all within the company walls, setting the stage for a stronger final release.
That sums it up nicely. And perhaps a final thought for you listening. Consider how this concept of an early internal review phase in software mirrors things in other areas.
Like in other kinds of projects.
Yeah, or even just processes in your own work or life. Do you have equivalent alpha tests? Maybe you don't call them that, but are there points where you do that internal check, that refinement stage, to make sure the final outcome is better? Something to think about.
CTSS.